Well, hey everybody, we're going to take a look at two different kings today. Last time we left off with Rehoboam. This time we're going to look at the king Abijah, and we're going to look at King Asa. So if you have your notes, you can go ahead and get those out. And immediately following this, you can jump over on Google. You can take the quick quiz that we're going to have here. And here probably next week, and I'll let you know, give you enough heads up, we're going to do a test. And obviously it's going to be an open note test, but we'll get that to you. So if you would just go ahead and pull your notes out. Let's look. There's not a whole lot to talk about with Abijah, who's the southern king. He is in Judah. So remember, we have two kingdoms now. We have a northern kingdom, which is going to be referred to as Israel, and a southern kingdom, which is going to be referred to as Judah. Now, he was only king for 3 years, so he wasn't there a whole lot. And what we know about him is he definitely was not blameless before God. So he had his issues. He was doing things that he wasn't supposed to. He allowed the southern kingdom to pursue idolatry and continued to pursue immorality. And this was okay with him. Typically in the past, what we have seen is with like Jeroboam did this, when Saul did this, God immediately got rid of them. When we read 1 Kings 15, it tells us that for David's sake, the line was continued. So he could have done away with him as king, but remember, there was a prophecy and a promise that was made that the lineage of Jesus was going to come through David, and David's family was going to continue this kingship through eventually Israel. And so 3 years, not blameless, not at all perfect, caused a lot of issues. He ends up leading Judah to war with Israel. So think about that. So the children of God that come in and take over the promised land, Judah and Israel, northern kingdom versus southern kingdom, they're now at war with one another. But what happened was, because the southern kingdom relied upon God, they won the war. And you can read that in Second Chronicles 13:15. But that was their saving grace. So God was giving them some favor and some grace here. Now, he wasn't getting away with his sin, and neither was the southern kingdom, but there was a cycle still happening. But God still gave them some grace and some favor and gave them plenty enough time to repent. Now, he's going to go away at year 3, and this new king is going to come into play. And King Asa, he's the southern kingdom king in Judah. He is the son of Abijah, and he reigned in Judah for 41 years. So when we look at these kings, Asa is one who started in, for the most part, he had one little slip up that we know about, but other than that, he was a really good king. Um, he was super aggressive in getting rid of immorality, getting rid of idolatry. He knew that this was Israel's go-to sin. He knew it needed to be taken care of. So the Bible tells us in 1 Kings chapter 15, unlike his father, he did what was right in God's eyes. So he begins removing at all cost immorality and idolatry out of Israel, destroying altars, destroying these worship sites to these false gods. So much, he's so aggressive that Asa even removed his grandmother from her throne as queen because of her idolatry, and destroyed her idol as well. So I want you to think about that, of how how much this idolatry really ingrained itself into the southern kingdom in Judah. It was so much that even the grandmother, that was the queen, because of her idolatry, it had gotten to her where she was doing this. So of course it was going to be okay throughout the kingdom, until Asa steps in and says, "No, we're going to attack this. This is wrong. This is not of God. The favor of God's not going to be on us." And so he removes grandma from the throne as queen and destroys all of her idols. Now he begins to reign in Judah during the same time that Jeroboam is reigning in Israel. So you have him in Jeroboam in Israel, and you have Asa in the southern kingdom reigning during this same time. And Asa is going to reign again 41 years. So he'll start his reign during the time of Jeroboam, and he'll end at the time of King Ahab, which is King Ahab is going to fall into, I think, the seventh king of the northern kingdom. So it's a pretty long reign, and he reigned in between. Reigned from the southern kingdom with some pretty bad kings, especially talking about Jeroboam and definitely talking about Ahab, right there across the borders of them. So again, Asa doing the right thing, good king, serving his people, attacking immorality, attacking idolatry, restoring the southern kingdom back to the things that God wanted it to be. So he's doing a great job. Um, Wars, there were wars still to be fought, but this time the wars aren't coming from Philistines and everybody else. This time the wars are happening between Israel and Judah. So the war is happening between the southern kingdom and the northern kingdom during the reign of Asa. So he is uh, going back and forth with a battle with Israel. When Israel finally recognized, and just for clarity's sake, when we say Israel right now in this time period, we are referring to the northern kingdom. When we say Judah, we are referring to the southern kingdom. So when Israel recognized that God was with the southern kingdom, many of the Israelites went to Jerusalem where they could worship the true God. Now, if you remember, under Jeroboam, he was so concerned that they wanted to go to Jerusalem to worship that he put up the two golden calves in Bethel and then one in the upper part of northern Israel, which was going to be Dan, for the people to worship, to get them to stay and not retreat and go in to Judah. Well, here we go again under Asa, that the people in Israel, a northern kingdom, felt that they see what God is doing for the southern kingdom, so they want to be a part of that. So now they want to leave where they are in northern kingdom and join the southern kingdom so that they could worship the true God. You can read about that in First Chronicles 15. But there's a guy who's also a king, and he's in the northern kingdom. We'll talk about him soon. But Baasha is king of Israel during this time. So he attempted to keep the Israelites in Israel by building a wall around Israel. Okay. So he wants to build this fortification to keep the people from leaving. So there's this big wall that separates the northern kingdom and the southern kingdom. And it's not to keep people out, it's to keep people within. So Jeroboam does it with the two golden calves, and Baasha is doing it with a physical wall to keep the people out. So there was some fear in Judah's side. So even though Judah, the southern kingdom, had the favor of God with them, and God was protecting them, and God was fighting for them, this is where Asa made a fatal flaw, and he makes a deal with the king of Syria. Now, remember, Syria borders the nation of Israel, and is actually one of Israel's toughest enemies. Syria launches many missiles and terrorism into the country of Israel on a daily basis. But during this time, Asa makes a deal with the king of Syria. So Syria borders the northern part of Israel. So for him to make a deal with the king of Syria kind of made sense, because he could react fast and attack the northern kingdom if needed. Problem was, Asa didn't need anybody to protect Israel or protect the southern kingdom, because God was their protector. So because he made an alliance with a nation that was not of God, God will rebuke Asa, and Asa will be punished for making this alliance with a country that does not follow God. Overall, Asa, great king, was a really good king, really did the things that he was supposed to, and finally was starting to make some traction of getting rid of the immorality and getting rid of the idolatry that has plagued Israel for years, in the southern and northern kingdoms for years. So, all right, now you're going to jump over on Google and you're going to take your test or quiz, and then we'll jump back in next time, where we're going to talk about some other kings of Nadab and Baasha. So we'll see you guys next time.